Technology providers should think about their target markets as volatile and dynamic. Consumers are changing, the technology products are changing very quickly, and the market is changing. If you think about the way that over the next 10 years the market is being reshaped by the interaction of consumers and technology, we can see that we're going to be living in a profoundly different environment in 10 years' time from the one we're living in at the moment. And that means new business models, new patterns of consumption, new products and new consumers who will be thinking very differently about the world around them. Well, technology providers need to understand, first of all, the customer. They need to understand the motivations, their needs, their purchasing behaviour. And Gartner has developed a consumer segmentation model to help them do that. And essentially we create or carve up the consumer universe into 9 consumer segments, which are based upon the needs and the motivations and purchasing behaviour of those consumer segments. If we look at other ways of approaching this, increasingly we're using technology to identify markets of one. So understanding what the consumer is doing in real time and being able to structure offers to those customers on an individual basis. Secondly, we need to identify the low-hanging fruit in the market. The early adopters, for example, behave in very different ways from the later adopters. So you might want to start your product offering amongst early adopter groups, but bearing in mind that 2/3 of the consumer population are in the later adopter segments, you'll need to structure offerings which appeal to the needs and motivations of those particular groups as well. The marketing strategy really needs to be built on the understanding of the customer. So if your marketing strategy is developed on a sound understanding of the customer segments that you're trying to address and your products are built around that, then mapping them to the consumer segments will become self-evident. So then you need to consider, what are the hot button purchase drivers for particular consumer segments. Price, for example, all consumers are price sensitive, but early adopter segments are price sensitive in different ways to later adopters. Earlier adopters remain brand loyal and will wait and bide their time for the right offer to come along so that they can get the brand of product they want. Later adopters will tend to make compromises on brand in terms of fitting into the wallet, the price that they're prepared and able to pay. Well, technology providers really need to take a global perspective of consumer behaviour. And if you look at the segmentation across the different country markets, for example, you'll find that an aspirer type segment is similar, much more similar in Beijing as they are in Boston, as they are, for example, to an aspirer and a comfortable conformist consumer living around the corner in a different block in Boston. So you can see that there are huge similarities between different consumer segments in different country markets. Now, there are also country differences and cultural differences which mediate the reception of different products in different countries. So for example, in the China market and the devices market, we might see a much broader range of devices targeted at a lot of different consumer segments, consumer niches, than you might see in the US or European market. That's just the way the market works. Emerging markets are really shifting the centre of gravity of product innovation. They're sucking in a lot of the innovation capability just through the size of their markets and the organic growth that's taking place. So increasingly in future we're going to see a lot more product and innovation development taking place in emerging markets because of the size of those markets and the consumer demands, which is driving innovation.